My spirit animal paintings start with an intuitively painted abstract like this one. Here I'm using a photo that I downloaded from Unsplash and upsized in Photoshop. Then I'm cutting it out and placing it, figuring out where I'd like to place it on the board. Where I like to place it is determined by the pattern that's under the crow, as this is the part that will actually be much more visible when I'm done. Then once I've done that, I use a piece of Sorrel paper. That's the yellow paper you see. It has a chalky underside. So I'm tracing the pattern of the crow onto the board. And all I need for this is the outline because I don't paint the animal in great detail. I just need the outline of the animal, and I really don't like to draw. So, drawing just takes me a long time. So it's just quicker for me to trace the crow than to draw it. And then next I am doing what I call negative space painting. So I am outlining the crow in white gesso, which I've watered down just a little bit with water to create what we call a white glaze. And this white glaze I apply everywhere except for the crow. The goal is to outline the crow. So the colorful underlayer shows through as the crow. And that's what I'm doing here for the next few minutes. And I will start with a very light glaze, and I will apply 2 or 3 coats here. This is probably 3 coats, what you're seeing here. I do it a little at a time because I gauge whether I like it at each phase, and I pretty much just stop when it feels good to me. And then here I'm just tracing his eye and his beak, so they're just in the right spot. And now you can see I've painted in his eye, and now I'm starting to paint in a little bit of his beak. When I do these spirit animal paintings, I don't paint a highly realistic animal. That's not my intention at all. I like the colorful underlayers to show through and give the personality to the spirit animal, in this case the crow. So here, as you can see, I'm just painting in the detail of his beak, or a little bit of the detail. You can still, if I could show a close-up, you would see that there's still some of the colorful underlayers showing through. And again, I'm just trying to cap just enough of the eye and the facial details to to portray its personality. One of the things I enjoy most about this approach is, well, one, it's a fairly easy approach. It starts with that colorful, intuitively painted abstract, and then when I've got that painting to where I like the balance of colors and marks that are on it, then I choose an animal that I feel where the colors resonate together. In this case, for whatever reason, I was feeling that crow would look nice with the purples and the blues. So that's why I did the underpainting, and predominantly those colors with some pinks. And here I'm just painting in some feathers. So you're just kind of adding a little bit of detail where his neck is, and adding a little bit. I think I'm getting ready to add a wing. Yep, so a little bit of a wing here. And I look at the reference photo, for the placement of the wing. And then a little bit of the highlights. Again, my goal is not hugely realistic, but just to provide enough detail to give it personality. And here I'm working in the lower feathers where the crow is standing on a rock, and just kind of adding some dark edges so you can see where his feet are. And just adding in some shading. I'm predominantly using Payne's Gray for the shading. I tend to use Payne's Gray quite a bit rather than black. Payne's Gray is, well, it says it's gray, but it's got some blue undertones to it, which I like. And you can mix it with white, and it does provide a light gray, but I do like the blue undertones of Payne's Gray. And just painting in his outer wing here. I have definitely not mastered the ability to paint from just a vertical. So every now and then I have to turn the bird. But you get the gist of it. And as you can see, he's quickly coming to life here with very little detail, but yet still a lot of color, which is something I love. Color really makes my heart sing. And when I'm able to create a painting with these colors showing through, that's just a happy marriage in my mind. Just painting in his feet at the moment here. So I fuss for a little bit with the color that I like his claws to be. Takes me a little bit to settle in on exactly what I want here, and you can't really see it from this angle, but in close-up detail you'll be able to see his claws. So two of my favorite parts of painting the spirit animals are the colorful, or the phase one, where I'm painting in the colorful, intuitively painted abstract that serves as the underlay of color that shows through the animal. And to me, applying the glaze is very meditative, the white glaze that silhouetted the crow here. And then the next favorite part is these little details. I do like adding the details that bring the animal to life. His eye, his beak, these little wings. Again, just enough detail to bring him to life. And I don't complete the whole painting today, but I do make, significant progress. I do something in the white space that I've glazed, and for quite often I need to let the painting sit for a day or so. Then basically that's to let intuition and inspiration work together to inspire what will either fill or complement that space, or just some type of decorative element that will enhance the painting but not detract from the crow and the personality of the crow, or the personality of this spirit animal. And here I'm painting in the rock that the crow is standing on. Again, fussing over the feet a little bit. Here, just adding a little shading and some marks to the rock, just to bring in a little more color. Not quite sure exactly the color I'm looking for here. I don't want the color of the rock to take too much attention away from the crow. It's supposed to be a supporting element, not a primary element. And at some point I think it looks a little too bold to me, so I think I remove the color, but for now you can see where I'm going with it. Still working on those feet. And in looking at this now, I can see it looks like he only has one leg because the other leg is in the folds of his feathers, or in front of his black feathers, and a black leg and black feathers kind of meld together. So at some point I will probably either add a little gray to one side of his leg or to the feathers behind him, so that other leg, which as you're looking at the bird is on the left, stands out a little bit more, because otherwise he looks like a one-legged crow, which kind of looks funny. And here you can see I paint over what I had worked on, a little bit more yellow here, and bringing in the blow dryer to speed up the drying process. I've done that actually several times throughout the painting, but thought it was boring, so I edited it out. But I'm not very patient, so some of these layers, like with the glazing and various things, or various stages, when the paint was still wet, I brought out the blow dryer and dried it so I could quickly move on to the next step. Here, just adding some little marks into the rock just for interest in layering. And here I'm getting close to wrapping up for today, just again going back and adding a little bit of detail to the feet, and just really trying to give some definition to the feet. And so this concludes the painting session for today. And here are some stills of the painting, and I will let this sit for a day or two to decide what embellishments I would like to add to the negative space, or the area that has the white glaze. So stay tuned for the next video. Hope you enjoyed this.